we're starting on page 59. This lesson will go from 59 through 61. This is all dealing with rotations. What I'd like for you to do, I'd like for you to draw a cross with an arrow at the, or arrowhead at the top of that cross. Rotations are somewhat difficult, or a little bit more difficult than compared to the other transformations, translations, and reflections. What we're going to do is we're going to rotate this 180 degrees, right? So that's a straight line. And we're going to be rotating this blue figure from the origin. The directions asked us to use patty paper, but I'm going to show you a way where you can try to do this more mentally. It's going to be hard for me to show it, but because I don't have a paper in front of me that I can actually rotate. But let me go ahead and show you. Okay, and then from here we'll put our coordinates in this table: A prime, B prime, E prime, G prime, and K prime. So let me start it. We need to think about paths. So the path from the origin to these various letters. Now on your paper, right, you have this little cross right here. Okay, that cross, when you rotate it 180 degrees, instead of it pointing up, it's going to be pointing down. So what I mean by this, I'm going to don't draw this path right now. I'm just going to demonstrate this. We're going to go to the right and then up one. So right two, up one. The question is, instead of it pointing up, where should it be pointing at now? So if I take this, it should be pointing for 180 degrees. It should be pointing down. Let me go and line this up with the origin. So what you'll do is you'll actually take your paper and rotate this so it's upside down, and you're just asking yourself the question, right? What is the path from the origin to A? And for mine, it lands right over there. Let me erase this path now. A prime will be this coordinate, which is -2, right? 2 to the left, and -1, 1 down. So let's go ahead and write that: -2, -1. Next one we'll go to is B, right? The path looks like we're going right and then up. So what you'll do with your paper, you're going to take your paper or your book, you're going to rotate this where it's upside down, and looking at it, right, at least for me, I'm going to look at where that arrow is pointing at. The path from the origin to now B looks like 3 to the left, 4 down. So it is this point right here. And I'm going to get rid of this path here. Okay, so this is B prime. That coordinate, -3, -4. Right, 3 to the left, 4 down. All right, since A connects to B, A prime will connect to B prime. Let's go to the next one. So we did this one. Now we're going to go to E. That looks like we're going 2 to the left and, oops, and 6 up. Right. So although for me, just so I make this perfectly clear, for me, I'm using my digital tool, but for you, right, in order for you to perform the rotation, you're actually going to turn your paper or your book so that it's upside down, and you're asking yourself, at least for this one, what is the path from the origin to E? So it is right over here, and that is the point, -2, -6. All right, let's connect it. So E prime. Let's go to the next one is G. This looks like we're going over here and then over here. So right and up. All these directions are still right and up. I think right there. All right, so this is for G prime. Let me erase this. All right, let's connect that to E prime. It looks like it is -5, so 5 to the left and 5 down, so -5, -5. and then k prime. So the path is to go right and then up 1 unit. So right looks like 5 units, and then up 1 unit. Right, it's pointing up. I want it to point down. Let's line up the origin. It is right here. Okay, and that's going to be k prime. All right, and that is -5, -1. Okay, now this looks like it. If I were to take this, let me trace it. If I were to take this and turn it 180 degrees, would this match up? Yep, it directly matches up. Looks pretty good. Right, so this would say it's a congruent. It's the same shape, same size, and like just so you notice, when you spin, right, you're still the same person, right? You're still the same shape and size. D for this one. So one of the purposes of mathematics is to come up with a more efficient way. So now we're looking at D. Compare the coordinates of the rotated figure with what we have. Right? What's the same? What's different? So if we look at A, maybe there's something that you notice there. Right? We have 2, 1. Now it's -2, -1. Let me skip to maybe K. That's 5, 1. This is -5, -1. So pause the video here, see if you can write what you think is the same and what's different. But I'm going to go ahead and write it here, so hopefully I had enough time. Right, the coordinates, right, we'll say the values are the same, right, the same values, with opposite signs. Right, everything right here is a positive number because it's all in quadrant 1, right? This is quadrant 1, quadrant 2, quadrant 3, quadrant 4. So everything that was in quadrant 1 is now in quadrant 3. Okay, so this is an example for a rotation of 180 degrees. This next part I don't want you to draw, but I want you to notice something. If I connect corresponding parts, so like A to A, B prime to B, G prime to G, let's see if I can get that right, K prime to K, and E prime to E. I don't know if you notice this, but they all cross through the origin, right? And with the origin itself, they form a straight line of 180 degree rotation. Okay, like I said, I don't want you to draw that, so I'm gonna get rid of this. All right, but that's just an observation that I want you to notice. All right, moving on to page 60. So I call it a path. The book calls it a hook. I mean, it's the same thing. So it says, right, let's rotate 190 degrees counterclockwise. So that's like this, right, a right angle. Is for this point A, which is 2, 1, if you draw this path and you rotate your book itself or the page, you'll figure out where it should be, right? So this was in quadrant 1, now it's in quadrant 2, and you can write out what's happening there. So it's not the same rule as the last time where we just changed the signs because we're rotating this a different amount of degrees. Okay, we're going to skip number 2. We're going to go to the next one, number 3. What do you notice about the coordinates? So here I have, right, A is 2, 1. A prime is -1, 2. There's some type of relationship that's happening there. There's some things that are the same. There's something that's different. So, right, what can you say about what's happening with the 2's, what's happening with the 1's, or what's happening with the x's, and what's happening with the y's? So here we can put, for number 3, the new x coordinate, I'm going to put COORD, is the opposite of the y coordinate. I'll just put y. Right, because this was, right, 1 was y, but now that 1 is right over here, but it's the opposite of it. I'll put a -1 or -y. And And the new y is the original x. Okay, so looking over here, right, 2 was x, and now I moved that over here. So this observation is important to notice, right? This is the rule for rotating at 90 degrees counterclockwise. But we're gonna explore this a little bit more on the next page. Let's go to the last page that we're working on, which is 61. Okay, I already have it drawn here, but I'd like for you to write, we're going to be rotating at 90 degrees counterclockwise. Draw this upward arrow, draw this left arrow. Everything's going to be rotating that way. So if anything is pointing up, it's now going to be pointing to the left. Instead of the last one that we did for 180, where it's now pointing down. Okay, we're using our hook or our path to rotate this figure. We're going to do this for every single point, A, B, C, and D. And we're going to try to do this very carefully. Okay. Now this, I'm going to be drawing it on here. The hook or the path do not draw because you're going to have a lot of stuff on your paper. It's going to be kind of confusing. So what I mean by this is I want you to look at this and look at A. What is the path from the origin to A? It is 3 to the left. So if I rotate this 90 degrees counterclockwise, or sorry, 3 to the right, apologize. Where should it be pointing at? So this arrow, do not draw. But if I draw this, where should this arrow be pointing at now? Right, hopefully you have it. It's pointing straight up. So that is the new location of A prime. So let me get rid of that. So A prime, instead of being 3 to the right, it's 3 up. I'm going to put A prime. Okay. Now for this, let's put that coordinate. That is the coordinate 0, 3, meaning I didn't move at all left and right, but I moved 3 up. All right, let's go to B. That is here and here. Right, that arrow is pointing straight up. If I'm rotating this 90 degrees, right, where should it be facing now? It should be facing to the left. So that is you rotating your paper, seeing that it's to the left, and you're looking at the path. It's 2 up and left 4, or vice versa, left 4 and 2 up. That coordinate is, so B prime. What is that? That is -4, +2. All right, let's keep it going. Looks like the path to get to C, I'm going to go left and up like that. It's pointing straight up, so 90 degrees counterclockwise is going to be pointing to the left. And if I take this, it's going to look right over here. That's going to be right on this 6. It's kind of hard to see. It's like coloring in that circle of the 6. All right, what is that coordinate? Let me make that a little bit more pronounced. That is -6, -1. Okay. And then the last one for D. D is just pointing up 2. So if I rotate this, instead of pointing up, we just said it's going to be pointing to the left. Oops. So it's going to be 2 to the left. Right there. Let's put D prime. I should put C prime. So D is -2, 0. Let me connect all these points though. Right, if you use patty paper, you'll find that what's in blue and what's in black, exactly the same shape and size, but let's put -2, 0. Okay. Now looking at this and comparing it with what we have over here, right? Hopefully there's something that we notice, right? There is some switching of the X and Y's. There's some changing of some signs. But let's go ahead and put that for B. Compare the coordinates of the image with the coordinates of the pre-image. How are the values of the coordinates the same? What this is, any point X and Y, right? I can see here what's happening. See how it's 3 and then 0? It's 0 and then 3. So there's some switching happening here. So let me switch them. So instead of x comma y, it's y comma x. I switch. But there's something else at play here, right? Let's look at b for this one. I have positive 2. Yeah, it still stays positive 2. This was a positive 4. It became a negative 4. So that second value, which is the y, becomes the opposite. So here we have a positive 6. Notice how that becomes a negative 6. This is a positive 2. It becomes a negative 2. So what happens here is that y, that first value becomes negative. So we're going to say you have to switch and make a negative, or change, not a negative, sorry, opposite of y. This rule right here is the rule. So 5 is make conjectures about these two things, rotating 90 degrees and 180 degrees. We're just going to copy that same thing. Since I already did it, I'm just going to copy that here. Right, so you're welcome to pause the video. And the 180 degrees, we said that whatever point that we have, it just becomes the opposite of what that is. I'm going to scroll up a couple of pages. Yeah, we said just the opposite signs, right? 5, 1 becomes negative 5, negative 1. So I just changed both the x and the y. It's going to be negative x, comma, negative y. So opposite of the signs. So just change the signs. All right. We're going to pause it there. That'll be the end of this video. Let me know if you have any questions.